Okay, so get this. You send over this article on self-compassion, and
Yeah.
wow, I got to say, it's a lot more interesting than I thought it'd be.
Uh-huh.
It's not just about, feeling good.
Right.
It really digs into some, like, serious stuff about mental health and resilience,
Mm.
even how we connect with other people.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Expert speaker and I were just talking about that.
Yeah.
We're both kind of struck by.
It's wild how self-compassion is often seen as like just being soft on yourself.
Right.
But this article really gets into like, the concrete ways it can
Yeah.
improve your life.
Yeah.
And one thing that I thought was really interesting was
Yeah.
the connection between self-compassion and resilience.
Oh, totally.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good one.
How?
It's not just about bouncing back from setbacks.
Right.
It's how we approach those setbacks
Exactly.
in the first place,
Yeah.
And the article talks about
Mm.
reframing those experiences as learning opportunities,
Yeah.
which can totally shift your perspective.
Totally. And I think when
Yeah.
you're kinder to yourself, you're less likely to get caught up in that whole
Uh.
self-blame thing and the negative thinking.
Mm.
You can actually like approach challenges
High
with
five.
more like a curious and open mindset,
Yeah.
which helps you learn and grow from them.
There's this great line in the article, I don't know if you remember it, but it said,
Okay.
shifting from your own worst critic to your strongest ally.
Oh, yeah.
And
I remember that.
I feel like that's something a lot of us really struggle with.
Yeah. That's okay.
Especially when we're trying to achieve something.
I think so too. And I don't think it's about
Yeah.
lowering your standards or like
Right.
becoming complacent.
Mhm.
It's about recognizing that everybody makes mistakes.
Right. Yeah.
And beating yourself up about it
Yeah.
doesn't help anybody.
No, it doesn't.
In fact, it can hinder your progress.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. The article talks about this idea of
Right.
talking to yourself like you would talk to a friend.
Mm-hmm.
Have you ever noticed how we're
Oh, yeah.
way harder on ourselves
Oh, sure.
than we would ever be on someone
Uh-huh.
we care about?
Totally.
It's kind of crazy.
Yeah, it's like we would never tell a friend, like,
Right.
you're such a failure.
Right, exactly.
After they,
Yeah.
messed up or something.
Yeah.
We would offer support and encouragement. So
Mhm.
self-compassion's kind of about extending that same grace to ourselves.
Okay, but real talk,
Yeah.
sometimes that feels kind of cheesy, right?
Yeah.
Like, oh, just be nice to yourself.
It can, yeah.
But the article gives some
Okay.
concrete examples
Mm-hmm.
of how to actually
Uh-huh.
put this into practice.
Yeah. It's not just about thinking positive thoughts. It's
Right.
about actually changing how you respond to yourself.
Hmm.
One of the things the article mentions is
Yeah.
the self-compassion break.
Oh, yeah.
It's like a simple exercise where you kind of pause when you're feeling stressed or critical,
Mm-hmm.
and you intentionally
Yeah.
bring kindness and understanding to your
Yeah.
experience.
And you know what? It actually,
Yeah.
it really does work.
It does.
It might sound simple,
Mhm.
but taking a moment to
Mm.
acknowledge your feelings
Right.
and just offer yourself some comfort,
Mm-hmm.
it can make a huge difference.
It really can.
That's like hitting the pause button on that
Yeah.
negative spiral.
There's actually research showing that
Yeah.
this kind of self-compassion practice can
Okay.
reduce stress and anxiety and
Yeah.
even improve your mood.
I also found it interesting how the article emphasizes
Oh, okay.
embracing imperfection.
Yeah.
What does that actually look like?
Right.
In a practical sense.
Yeah.
I mean, we're all striving to
Mm-hmm.
do well in life,
Yeah.
but sometimes that pursuit of perfection, it can feel so overwhelming.
Totally. It's about recognizing that
Mhm.
being human means being imperfect.
Yeah.
Nobody gets it right all the time.
Right.
So it's about
Okay.
shifting your focus from
Yeah.
trying to be perfect
Hmm.
to focusing on growth and learning.
So it's not about lowering your standards. It's just about accepting
Exactly.
that you're going to make mistakes along the way.
Yeah.
And that's
And that's okay. Yeah.
In fact, mistakes can be valuable learning experiences.
Right. Right.
Imagine you mess up a presentation at work or something.
Yeah.
Instead of dwelling on it
Mm-hmm.
and beating yourself up,
Right.
you can just acknowledge the mistake.
Yeah.
Identify
Okay.
areas where you could improve
Right.
and move on without
Yeah.
that harsh self-judgment.
Yeah. Without beating yourself up about it.
Yeah,
It's about treating yourself
Yeah.
like you would treat a friend
exactly.
who made a mistake. Yeah.
Offering support and encouragement, not
Right.
criticism and judgment.
And over time, that self-compassion can actually help you
Mm.
build more resilience because
Oh.
when you're not afraid to make mistakes,
Uh-huh.
you're more likely to, like, take risks and try new things,
For sure.
which ultimately leads to growth.
Right.
Now, this is where it gets really interesting for me.
Okay.
The article goes beyond just
Yeah.
the mental and emotional benefits.
Mm-hmm.
And it talks about how self-compassion
Right.
can actually improve your relationships with other people.
Yeah, it's kind of counterintuitive
Yeah.
in a way, right?
Yeah.
You'd think, like, focusing on yourself
Yeah, you
would make you less attuned to others,
Right?
but it's actually the opposite.
Right. So how does that work?
Right.
Like, how does being kinder to yourself
Okay.
translate into better relationships with other people? So, well, I think when you're more compassionate with yourself, you're less likely to, like, project your own insecurities and anxieties onto others.
Okay.
You can kind of show up with more empathy and understanding, you know?
That makes sense. Yeah, like, you're not carrying around all that baggage.
Right.
So you're freer to really, like, connect with people.
And it can also help with, setting boundaries,
Oh, yeah.
which is so important for healthy relationships.
Right.
Like, when you value and respect yourself,
Mm-hmm.
you're more likely to communicate your needs effectively and,
Yeah.
protect yourself from situations that drain you.
It's like self-compassion gives you that foundation of self-worth
Yeah.
that allows you to be more present
Mhm.
and supportive in your relationships.
Yeah, totally.
Instead of getting caught up in your own stuff,
Right.
you can really be there for the people you care about.
The article even mentions, like, how self-compassion
Yeah.
can help us navigate those, like, inevitable conflicts
Wow.
that come up in any relationship.
Because, let's face it,
Yeah.
disagreements are going to happen.
They're gonna happen.
No one sees eye to eye
Right.
on everything all the time.
Yeah.
But the article suggests that
Mm.
self-compassion can help us approach those conflicts
Right.
with more understanding and grace.
It can help us stay, like, calmer and more centered, during those tough conversations. Instead of getting, like, defensive or attacking the other person,
Yeah.
we can try to, like, see things from their perspective
Mm.
and communicate our own needs more constructively.
You know, it's funny because I think
Yeah.
a lot of us have this idea that self-compassion is, like, kind of selfish.
Mm.
You know, like, oh, it's all about indulging yourself.
Yeah, yeah.
But this article
Right.
really flips that on its head.
Totally.
It's saying self-compassion is actually the key
Uh-huh.
to more fulfilling and meaningful relationships.
Yeah, it's like that saying, you can't pour from an empty cup.
Oh, I like that.
Right.
Yeah.
You got to take care of yourself first
Mhm.
in order to have, like,
Yeah.
the emotional resources to
Right.
give to others.
And speaking of taking care of ourselves,
Yeah.
one of the practices the article mentions
Okay.
is letting go of comparisons,
Oh, yeah.
which, like, it seems so simple,
Right.
but it's hard, you know?
Yeah, especially, like, in today's world
Yeah.
where we're constantly bombarded with, like, images of perfection and success. It's so easy to, like, fall into that trap of comparing ourselves
Mhm.
and feeling inadequate.
The article reminds us that, like,
Mhm.
everyone's journey is unique.
Absolutely.
And, like,
Yeah.
what looks like success to one person
Mhm.
might not even be on your radar.
Totally. It's about, like, defining success on your own terms,
Yeah.
based on your values and aspirations.
I love
Self-compassion kind of encourages you to, like, focus on your own growth and progress
Yeah.
rather than getting caught up in that comparison game.
Which brings us to another
Right.
important practice. Forgiving yourself.
Oh, yeah.
We all make mistakes,
We do.
but sometimes those mistakes can really linger, you know?
Totally. It's like carrying around this weight of
Right.
guilt and shame,
Yeah.
and it prevents you from, like, moving forward and living fully.
Right. So how do we actually do that?
Yeah.
How do we forgive ourselves
Right.
for those past mistakes?
Yeah.
Especially the ones that, like, still feel painful.
I think it starts with acknowledging the mistake, right? And, like, understanding the impact it had.
Mhm.
But then you kind of shift from self-blame
Right.
to self-compassion.
Okay.
Remembering that, like, you were doing the best you could
Yeah.
with the knowledge and resources you had at the time.
Right. Yeah.
It's about recognizing that, like,
Yeah.
you're not defined by your past mistakes.
We all have regrets.
We all do.
Dwelling on them doesn't do any good.
Yeah.
Forgiveness is about, like,
Mhm.
letting go of that negative energy
Mhm.
and choosing to learn from the experience
Exactly.
so you can move forward.
The article also talks about the importance of, like,
Yeah.
practicing gratitude,
Yeah.
which seems like such a simple concept,
Mm-hmm.
but it can be so powerful.
It can.
Gratitude is like a potent antidote to, like,
Yeah.
negativity and self-criticism. When
Yeah.
you focus on the good things in your life, it shifts your perspective.
I love that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Instead of focusing on like what's wrong
Right.
or what you're lacking,
Yeah.
you're intentionally acknowledging the things you're grateful for.
And it doesn't have to be anything major, you know?
Yeah.
It could be something as simple as a
Right.
warm cup of coffee in the morning
Yeah.
or a beautiful sunset. Just
Right.
taking a moment to like appreciate those
Yeah.
small joys
Mhm.
can make a huge difference in your overall mood and outlook.
The article even suggests like
Mm-hmm.
making it a daily practice, like
Yeah.
writing down 3 things
Right.
you're grateful for each day.
Yeah, it's like training your brain to
Yeah.
notice the positive aspects of your life.
I'm curious, what are some other ways people can cultivate self-compassion?
Oh,
I mean, we've talked about like a
yeah.
lot of different practices,
Yeah.
but it can feel overwhelming
Yeah.
to try to do everything at once.
You're right. It's not about like
Yeah.
trying to be perfect at self-compassion.
Mm-hmm.
It's about finding what works for you
Right.
and gradually incorporating those practices into your life.
It's like building any new habit, right?
Yeah,
You
exactly.
start small
Yeah.
and kind of build from there.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to go from 0 to self-compassion guru
Right.
overnight.
And it's important to be patient with yourself.
Yeah.
You know, there will be times when you like fall back into those old patterns of self-criticism.
Yeah.
That's totally normal.
It is. It is.
The key is to like just notice those moments without judgment
Uh-huh.
and gently redirect yourself
Mm-hmm.
back to that place of kindness.
Like we've been saying, treat yourself
Yeah.
like you would treat a friend.
Right.
If a friend was struggling,
Mm-hmm.
you wouldn't berate them
No.
for not being perfect.
You'd offer support and encouragement
Yeah.
and remember to celebrate your successes.
Oh, yeah.
No matter how small.
Right.
Acknowledging your accomplishments helps build self-confidence.
Hmm.
And it reinforces that sense of self-worth.
You know, one thing that really struck me about this article was
Yeah.
it presents self-compassion as a skill,
Oh, yeah.
something that can be learned
Uh-huh.
and developed over time.
Totally.
It's not just some like
Mm-mm.
innate quality
Yeah.
that some people have
Right.
and others don't.
That's such an important point.
Yeah.
It means that no matter where you're starting from, you have the capacity to become more self-compassionate.
I love that. Yeah.
It's a practice, like
Right.
meditation or yoga.
Yeah.
The more you do it, the better you get.
So as we kind of wrap up this deep dive,
Okay.
what are some key takeaways
Mhm.
that you hope listeners will walk away with?
Well, for me, it's the transformative power of self-compassion.
Yeah.
It's not just a
Yeah.
feel-good concept, right?
Right.
It's a fundamental shift
Mm-hmm.
in how we relate to ourselves and the world around us.
Yeah.
It's about cultivating a sense of inner peace and resilience
Yeah.
that allows us to navigate life's challenges
Mhm.
with more grace and ease.
And it's not selfish.
No, not at all.
Self-compassion can actually make you a better
Yeah.
friend,
Mhm.
partner, family member, colleague.
Absolutely. When you're kinder to yourself,
Yeah.
you have more to give to others.
Right.
You can show up with more
Mm-hmm.
empathy, understanding, and patience.
So what do you think? Feeling inspired to be a little kinder to yourself.
I hope so.
This deep dive has really opened my eyes to the
Mhm.
power of self-compassion.
You too.
It's not just about feeling good.
Right.
It's about living
Mm-hmm.
a more fulfilling and meaningful life.
And it all starts with that one small step. You know,
Yeah.
maybe it's trying that self-compassion break we talked about, or taking a moment each day to express gratitude.
Yeah,
Whatever it is, just choose to be kind to yourself.
I love that.
You deserve it.
You deserve it, and the world deserves the
Yeah.
best version of you,
Mm-hmm.
which starts with being kind to yourself.
Absolutely.
So as you go about your day today,
Yeah.
remember to treat yourself
Hmm.
with the same compassion and understanding
Right.
that you would offer to someone you love.
That's a great point.
Well, that's it for today's deep dive.
Awesome.
Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.